All right, guys. So you're here today for this little training. It's not going to take that long. You're going to get some fantastic information from it, and it's basically called Get More Done This Quarter Than Most Business Owners Will All Year and Make the Impossible Possible for Yourself. And I'm going to tell you right out of the gate here that if you stay till the end, I've got a special free download that you're going to be able to use. Just give you a little hint. It's basically a method that I developed a number of years ago that is to really surface and get to your big why, your passion and purpose, the stuff that everyone always talks about. But, the information in terms of how you get to that is so superficial and surface and arbitrary that most people can't discover it. It's a difficult thing to find, honestly. And I've come up with this method that I used for myself and didn't really talk about it for a number of years. And then just in one of my coaching sessions with my students, somebody asked me about it. And so I decided to teach it, and it just took off. So I'm going to give it to you for free at the end of this session if you stay for the whole thing. The other thing is that I've got another special bonus for you, which is I'm going to announce at the end, and you'll get a training session for free that people paid $1,500 for, plus $297 a month. And it's called the Concierge Coaching Program. It's for how to discover your big idea and market and advertise your business. And you're going to get that free if you decide to join a special coaching group that I'm going to announce at the end. Your choice, no matter what. You can just take what you learn in this session and use it for free, including the special bonus that I'm going to give you for free at the end. But if you do choose to join us, then you're going to get a whole lot more. All right, so with that said, let's get into it. All right, so first off, whenever I teach about something, I always want to give you the flight plan. Like, what are you going to expect? What's going to happen here today? All right, so this is the flight plan for today of what you're going to learn. So in step one, we're going to talk about understanding why most goal-setting methods fail today. And knowing what you want and why you want it is a very big underpinning pillar to this whole thing. Understanding procrastination and how to overcome it and how to relax into it and just feel good in the moment. All right, so step two in the flight plan is going to be how to build up your entrepreneurial energy, creativity, and productivity in a way, it's a realistic method that you're going to be able to use, or a tactic that you're going to be able to use to get energy every day and start right out of the gate and get your biggest thing accomplished. All right, and then in step three, we're going to talk about the happiness factor and why it is that, especially us entrepreneurs, we start off and we embark on this new thing, and then all of a sudden we get frustrated. And for most of us, 8 out of 10, statistically proven, most of us will turn around at that first little, hurdle or downfall that we experience. I'm going to show you how to just live in the moment and have a happiness factor that gives you some momentum into it. And I'll talk about why people aren't happy and what is the joy formula. What's the secret recipe to just being happy doing what we're doing? All right, and then I'm going to give you the triple R method to change and achieve goals. Something that was that I learned from Dr. Mimi, and we'll talk about Dr. Mimi in a little while. All right, and then step four, it's just one tiny little 1% change each day. You don't have to do a lot. It's just one tiny little thing each day, and I'll prove to you mathematically, when we get to this part, I'll prove to you that will make you 37 times better by the end of the year. So if you choose to do my coaching program, which is in 90 days, that means you'll be about 10 times better just in the 90 days. All right. And then we're going to talk about the science of how habits work and how to lock into it so that you can actually accomplish that 1% each day. All right. It's not about your traditional goal setting programs and making a big task list. I'm going to make it a lot easier than that. All right. And then using one simple method to inverse the New Year's Eve resolution syndrome. You know that syndrome that I'm talking about, right? The one where you make a New Year's resolution and 2 or 3 weeks later or a month later, you've failed. You haven't done it. You haven't stuck to it enough to be able to get the the outcome that you're expecting. All right. And then in step 5, I'm going to talk to you about the Soul Print Goal Accelerator program that's going to let you take all of what you're going to learn today and just boost it up a notch and be able to join some other exciting entrepreneurs in our journey. All right. So the first thing I want you to know is this beautiful quote that I got from Zach Galifianakis, the comedian, and he said, "Destroy that idea that you have to be constantly working and grinding in order to be successful, and embrace the concept that rest, recovery, and reflection are an essential part of the progress towards a successful and ultimately happy life." You don't have to be hustling and grinding. I'm an anti-hustle and grinder, okay? You can often see me, Friday afternoons I take off. Every day I only am at my desk for maybe 3 to 5 hours of actual work time, and I get more done in that 3 to 5 hours than most people do in 8 to 10 to 12 hours, when you're doing the hustle and grind, because you're just not efficient when you're doing that. So I'm going to show you some techniques of how to do that and how to be able to take Fridays off and do what I love to do, which is ride my bike, my mountain bike. All right. So a lot of people talk about this thing that's called the ikigai. You might have heard that before. It's a Japanese term that essentially means a reason for being, right? That's kind of like your big why. And the problem with this method, I mean, it's a decent method, but a lot of people know about this and they've tried it and just haven't been able to really either figure it out or figure out how to capitalize on it. And so when you look at this Venn diagram, it's a cross intersect in the middle there between what do you really love, passion, mission kind of stuff, compared to what the world needs, right? Compared to what can you get paid for. It's got to have some level of commerciality to it. And then what are you really good at? What have you got some history that you can show results, right? Because results trump everything. And then you're dead center in the middle, which is good, but it's not great. I'm going to show you a better way to do this, and I'm going to share you the free download at the end. All right, so you're going to be able to get something that's about 10 times better than this ikigai concept, which most people know, and it's good, but it's not great. All right, so this is how I kind of got onto this whole thing, is just so many people are frustrated, they're anxious, they have anxiety, they have stress, especially as entrepreneurs that are trying to, push the envelope and do new things. And I just noticed that people are just, in general, kind of unhappy. And we know that we have this negativity bias, right? Our brains think it's keeping us safe because the amygdala, that ancient part of our brain, which has been evolving for some 300,000 years, and in modern times is only about 10,000 years. So we spent 290,000 years evolving that part of our brain that thinks it's keeping us safe. And the problem is that negativity bias in today's world, in today's high, fast-paced world, it's just not keeping us safe anymore. We don't have to have our brains focused on the negative stuff. The negative stuff back in those days when we were cave people used to keep us safe. But now we want to be more focused on the positive stuff. So I'm going to show you how to use that to get into momentum. But basically Gallup did this study back in 2019. It's called the Negative Experience Index. And they've been doing this study for over a decade now. And what they found was that the world happiness levels are at their lowest level that they've been in a decade. Can you imagine what they are now in 2021 after having experienced COVID and the whole crap that we did in 2020? I mean, it's probably going to be worse. So Gallup surveyed more than 154,000 people in 146 countries on whether they felt pain, worry, stress, anger, or sadness in the previous day. And it said that the global mood was the gloomiest that it ever had seen since it started the survey in 2006. So we're actually getting worse as a society. And the National College Health Assessment in 2017 found that college students were about 51.6% of them were too depressed to function. 68.9% of them felt overwhelming anxiety, and 69.6% felt lonely most of the time. And many were suicidal, which is just crazy. So, and Yale broke a record for the largest class ever. They had 300 students initially registered for this new course at Yale so in the psychology, and called Psychology and the Good Life. It was a course on happiness, basically. It was overwhelmingly successful. There was huge amount of people that wanted to get into this. Within 3 days, the enrollment had burgeoned to 1,200 people. It was way too big for any of the campus lecture halls. There's a picture that you can see there of one of the lecture halls with all these students in it. It was too big for any of them, and they had a record for the 357-year-old university for the most students ever enrolled in one course. And basically a quarter of all Yale's undergrads had registered for it. Whereas, in contrast, in a 2013 report by Yale, Council found over half of its undergrads had sought mental health care from the university, and that doesn't include any of the students who were seeking mental health care externally to the university. So, I mean, this is just an unprecedented amount of students that were not feeling well, basically. They're unhappy. All right, so this is what is going to blow your mind. Still, Dr. Santos says that she's not going to plan to offer the course again. She was the professor who gave the course. Dr. Ahn, the head of psychology department, said that large courses could be amazing every once in a while, but it just wouldn't be fair to other courses and departments to take all their students away. She added that it causes conflict, and we can't afford to offer this every year in terms of teaching fellows and resources. I mean, doesn't that just blow you away? This is crazy. It just basically means that, you know, so many people are interested in this and really desperately need it, yet they put it out there and then for 1 year and then they take it away because, you know, probably other professors complained because people were not coming to their courses. It is available for free though online now. So the thing is though, we know as adults, as we get older and older and set in our ways, this only gets worse. The negativity bias, the stress, the anxiety, the frustration, all that kind of stuff gets worse and worse. But the thing is, dogs and children have it all figured out, right? Why? Because they live in this exact moment. They enjoy it, just like the dog and his owner here. Why is the dog happier? Because the dog's there in the moment, thinking about how much joy he has right there. Whereas the person is either fretting about things that happened in the past or worrying about what might happen in the future. Right? And if you don't believe me, ask Allie.
Deep down, you need to find your little kid in yourself. All the little kids believe in themselves because they're little. But you, parents, do not believe in yourself. You need to find a kid in yourself, then you can believe in yourself. When you find that kid, you can do it. And go through the obstacle course to get to that kid inside your body.
Round of applause for Allie.
Right? So, way to go, Allie. I mean, that was the niece of Jeremy Goich. He's a great guy. Check him out on YouTube. He's has a company that sets or establishes what the trends are in the world. Anyway, this is one of the recipes that I found works really well, right? If you can stay curious like a kid, just be in the moment, stay curious about what's going on, that's a really good trigger point to tap into your inner passion. Sometimes we don't know what our inner passion is because we don't spend time thinking about it or living in the moment to feel it, right? It's not something you can think through. You have to feel it in your heart, just like the kids. All right, this was a great book. Actually, Fast Company, originally this was an article in Fast Company called Change or Die. And this became viral in such a way that the author ended up writing a whole book about it. If you haven't read it, it's a few years old, but it's a wonderful book. And basically they did a test study with patients who had bypass surgery, right? People who were in a critical part of their life where they could die or potentially have to come back and have to have the surgery redone again. So you would think that those are the kind of people with their life on the line, they would want to change, right? But so what they did in this test study was instead of trying to motivate them with the fear of dying, which was what medical programs traditionally did. Hey, you've got to eat better, you've got to exercise, and you've got to take these statin pills so that you don't have to have this surgery anymore. So what happened was 77% of the patients that underwent regular instructional education with the fear of dying theme, which was their traditional way of doing it, were back to having clogged clogged hearts within 2 years and having to have the surgery again, or worse yet, having heart attacks and dying. On the other hand, 90% of the patients who received the education and joy, meditation, relaxation, yoga, exercise, and had a support group to help them through making the sustained change, right? Making it last. And what they found was that, 90% of the patients in there were successful and had the prolonged change even years after this study was done. And so what they've discovered is that in highly successful change efforts, people find ways to help others see the problems or solutions in ways that influence emotions, not just thought, right? It's not a cerebral thing. And having the support of a mentor and a group that helps support you in that, because they're going through the same things as you. They understand you. That's a really big key. All right, this is probably something you've heard in the past. It is probably, I think it's something that came about in the 70s for goal setting, called SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. These traditional goal setting methods, they just don't work. I mean, this is boring, right? Just listen to it. They're specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound. Oh my God, it's like just project manage task list me to death. Who cares about it being attainable and realistic? You want to be able to have a moonshot. So I'm going to teach you how to establish your goals in such a way that you can have a moonshot and feel excited about it, right? Tap into the curiosity. You're curious like a kid because you want to live for a greater moment. You want to inspire others to live for greater moments, right? So that's what you want to do. You don't want to have to be time-bound and realistic. Who wants that kind of stuff, right? Our minds are moving too fast in these times right now. And there's too many shiny objects to chase down, right? Right now, the Clubhouse bandwagon is a big thing. Next month, it'll be something else. Everybody's chasing this shiny object. Failures force us into self-doubt and procrastination. And when this happens, what happens is we hit, through the emotional cycle of change, we hit the valley of despair, right? The stage 3. So we start out, we're all excited. This is where the syndrome of the New Year's Eve resolution comes into play. We start out, we have this uninformed optimism, right? We're curious. Maybe we're a little curious like a kid in the beginning. And then as we start learning and doing a little bit, the excitement wears off, right? The honeymoon period is over and we hit this stage 2, the informed pessimism. And that's when things start to slow down. Maybe we miss if we've decided that we're going to, start a new workout program and lose 30 pounds or something. We hit this point and maybe we miss a workout or two. And then we hit the valley of despair. Guess what happens when you hit the valley of despair? The chocolate cake and chips and soda pop and all that kind of stuff come out. And we get frustrated, we feel bad about ourselves, and we head back to the beginning. And we never really push through that point to get into the informed optimism and then success and fulfillment on the other side. That's a tough thing to do. I'm going to show you some ways how you can do that. All right? Oh, and statistically, it's proven that 8 out of 10 people will fail to move past this point, hence the Change or Die book. So the question is, what can we do to get rid of this frustration and start having joy in the very doing of our goals, rather than having these goals and task lists that we set that are boring and make us feel like we just don't want to even get out of bed in the morning? So meet Dr. Mimi Silbert. I told you I was going to introduce you to her. She was introduced to me in the book Change or Die a decade ago. And she's the co-founder of Delancey Street Foundation in San Francisco. There's actually, I think, 6 locations now across the United States. And it's a place where chronically drug-addicted felons have a chance to turn their life around and change to become law-abiding citizens, loving their life and contributing to the world. And Mimi has a 66% success rate. There is still about 1/3 of the people that do reoffend or go back to drugs. I mean, this is a tough crowd, right? I mean, if she can get this many people in that role to change, these are, probably something like, I think the average is they are 3rd generation felons and drug addicts. I mean, this is a way of life for them. They don't know any other life. Well, so what they found in studying her methods was that she's using this method called the triple R method to overcome their mindsets of their former identities so that they can become someone new. Remember that for later. They're going to become someone new. So she doesn't have a big long, goals list of here's all the things you have to do so that you don't go back and reoffend, because that would just be boring and it would be very tough for these people to be able to even get through. So she has a different method. That method is the triple R method, and it's proven statistically, not in her, she gets 66%, but when you take the same kind of methodology and move it into business or move it into sports or move it into the other parts of the world where you've got people who are not convicted felons, not drug addicts, but regular people like us who still have trouble trying to accomplish our goals and push through and change. And so what they found is that when they applied this triple R method, that 8 out of 10 people, 8 out of 10 people can't stick to their goal normally, but over 7 out of 10 people will stick to their goal with the triple R. And that is relate, repeat, and reframe. So what does that mean? Well, the relate part is the power of community and relating with other like-minded people, having people that kind of, that saying that all boats rise with the tide. Well, that's what this is all about. Is it's a whole bunch of people that come together. It's the power of the social community. It's a flow trigger. And so what happens is when one person is in that struggle phase, which happens a lot. The struggle phase is the longest portion of any kind of change or goal-related function that you're trying to do. And so what ends up happening is that when one person's in struggle, another is probably succeeding, and they figured something out and they're using that to power their momentum. They got a flywheel going. And so when you come together with other people that are like-minded trying to do the same things, you get one person that's in flow, several other people that aren't. That person will help, or maybe several people are in flow. That person helps the others so that they can move up and become, come into the flow as well. And so you get this flywheel mechanism that is basically, 4 plus 4 is no longer 8. It's like multiples of 8. It's an algorithmic thing. The power of the community is very, very important. Second R is the repeat. So you've got a comfortable environment where you've got other people that are practicing and trying to do these new habits that they're doing to become or change into something new, right? Because in order to accomplish a goal that you've never accomplished, you're having to do things you've never had to do before, right? So you're becoming someone new. You're actually changing your characteristics. You're changing your identity. And so that little thing is going to come up again soon too. So being able to practice and having the ability to practice these new habits within a community that encourages and supports and allows you to fail, allows you to fall down. When you don't do it successfully the first time, that's not a failure. That's the learning method, right? Think about this: the first time that you ever got on a bike to ride a bike, first time you ever got into a car to drive a car, it wasn't always successful. You were a little bit rickety. Maybe you fell down on the bike. Maybe you hit the gas instead of the brake when you're learning how to drive. But being able to be in a nurturing environment with other people that are all learning the same thing with a good mentor who already knows how to do it, who's been there before you, that's going to float you up and put you into momentum. And then being able to reframe. Okay, that's an important thing too. Reframing your mental model constructs, right? Also known as false or limiting beliefs, or as Freud put it, the psychological ego defense models. We all have them built in. They're a part of our nature. They're unconscious or in our subconscious, and we can't help it, but it does happen. So building new mental models towards the change that you want to become, which translates into changing your identity, that's a very important thing. Learning how to do that is a special technique, but also learning how to do it inside of a group that supports you is even more important. If you're trying to do this on your own out there and you're falling down, you got other people that are, making fun of you in social media or friends and family saying, what are you doing that for? Because it's not what they're used to seeing you do. That's going to be really hard to push through on your own. So just remember that the important key ingredient of all these 3 R's is having a community and a mentor who understands you, understands your goals, is trying to do similar things and has similar challenges, and will gently point out the defense mechanisms that are coming up that are constantly pushing you back from the valley of despair back to your comfort zone, right? Back to your comfort bubble. That's what's going to happen if you try to do this on your own. But if you do it in a group and with a good mentor, it'll put you into flow. So these psychological defense mechanisms of the ego, this was something that was first written about by Freud back in the late 1800s, and then rewritten again and expanded upon by his daughter in the early 1900s. And then since then, we've pretty much defined these things. There are 12 of them. And we use these defense mechanisms to protect ourselves, right? From feelings of anxiety, stress, guilt. They arise because we feel threatened. And in today's world, that threat that's being posed typically isn't a life or death situation like it was back in the cave person days when we had to be feel frightened of it. But that amygdala, that part of our brain that's the fight or flight, it's still kicking in, even though it's not a situation where it's life or death. And these defense mechanisms operate at an unconscious or subconscious level to help ward off the unpleasant feelings or to try and make us feel good or feel better in the moment. The ego defense mechanisms are natural, they're normal, they're part of all of us, part of everyday life. And but when they get out of proportion, i.e. they're used with frequency and we start kind of living inside of those defense mechanisms and they're coming up all the time, then you can have neuroses develop, anxiety states, depression, hysteria, obsessions, phobias, all kinds of crazy things that start to happen. Why do you think those surveys that I showed you at the beginning of the presentation, so many people are just neurotic? It's crazy. We live in the best times that the world has ever seen, yet we are the most stressed out society that there ever has been in since the dawn of time. So here's the 12 defense mechanisms. You can look it up. But basically, I want to talk about this one called denial. Right? Denial is when you refuse to face a negative behavior. This is a really big one. I've termed something that I call the denial double jeopardy. And so what that is the problem with reframing your mental model is this double jeopardy thing, right? So one of the worst mental defense constructs that we have is denial, right? We start to get involved in a goal. That means changing what we're doing currently. It means developing new habits, new routines. We're basically becoming a new person. And so when that happens, it doesn't really feel right. It doesn't feel right to us inside. It certainly doesn't feel right to the people that are seeing you because they're used to seeing you as a different person. And as you start to change, you're developing a new mental construct, right? A new frame of how you see the world. And so that's definitely going to change your character a little bit, right? If you decide that you want to lose some weight, the best way to do that is say, I'm the kind of person who puts healthy things into their body and does healthy things. Instead of saying, I'm going to lose 30 pounds. Because if you say, I'm going to lose 30 pounds, you're going to hit that valley of despair. Somebody's going to say, what are you trying to do? Just give it up, eat the bag of chips with me. Come sit on the couch and watch Netflix. And you're going to go back to your comfort zone. That's just natural. It's the defense construct coming up. And so denial is when you get into denial saying, yeah, what was I thinking about? I'm never going to be able to do this. That's a denial. It thinks it's keeping you safe, but it really isn't. Because if you just were able to push through and had some support of people who are there with you trying to do the same things and somebody who can teach you how to do it because they've already done it themselves, then you're going to be much more successful, right? You're going to feel good about that change. So it's there in the background of our emotions, thinking it's keeping us safe. We use it all the time, even when we think we don't. And so we're in denial that we're actually in denial. That's the double jeopardy, right? And if you think you aren't in denial ever, then consider this case of Dr. Kay Redfield. She was a PhD psychologist from UCLA. She was also a professor at the hospital and worked in the psychiatric clinic. She had manic depression for years and refused to believe that she suffered from it. Even though her doctors had diagnosed her, she was trained professionally to diagnose this and gave support in the psychiatric clinic for other people who had the same exact problem that she had. Her depressive episodes made her suicidal, but she refused to take any medication at the time that were prescribed by her own doctors. She was in denial, right? So a person who is highly trained and has the ability to help others didn't see it in themselves. So if you think that you don't, think about Dr. Kay. In her memoir later, years later, in memoirs called An Unquiet Mind, she admitted and wrote about her years of having this fundamental denial, and that what she suffered from was a real disease and could have been helped if only she had overcome her own ego defense. So her biggest problem was the ego defense that thought it was keeping her safe, and she couldn't overcome that at the time. So this is why the community and the power of your social group, along with a mentor, are key to change and achieving your goals, because you're becoming something new. You don't want to have to go back to that valley of despair and back to your comfort bubble, because that's not where goals get achieved. That's not where life happens. It's not how to tap into the moment and feel the curiosity like a kid does and just feel happy in the doing, and then experience that change and, you know, mold into this new person and evolve. Right. So this was a picture of us in Maui. I'm on the left-hand side over here in the blue shirt. And these were all entrepreneurs, some who had businesses at the time, some who didn't. And we went to Maui for 2 weeks, and it was kind of an experiential learning process, deep immersion, where I would teach in the morning, and then we would go out and do an experiential thing in the afternoon. This was one afternoon where we went out to four-wheel driving in the Jeeps and had a lot of fun. We stopped at a couple beaches, went snorkeling with the sea turtles, and just had a great time. And that emotional momentum that you start to feel because you're doing different things is basically a flow trigger that allows you to create that momentum out there in the experiential experience and bring it back to the table when you're working. And that's what we did, back and forth for 2 weeks in Maui. And that deep immersion allowed every one of these business owners is crushing it. And as a matter of fact, Mike, the guy beside me here in the orange shirt, did a launch while we were in Maui, invited me to participate, and he was running a coaching program. He sold enough right there live on the spot in Maui to be able to pay for his entire Maui trip and the cost of hiring me as a coach. So there I am, the coach, taking another Friday afternoon off with joy, you know, doing something I love to do, which is biking. And that's something you'll find as a common theme with how I teach my students and my private clients, is that there's no such thing as work-life balance, okay? There has to be a meshing of work and life so that it actually becomes the same thing. So every day and every moment, you're doing what you love to do. And whether that's out there riding the bike or working with entrepreneurs, it's stuff that I love to do, and you're going to learn how to do that too. All right, author Bronnie Ware wrote in her book, Regrets of the Dying, that by far the number one regret was, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life that others expected of me. And this is one of the problems. What other people expect of you is not what you should be expecting of yourself. That's not inspirational. That's not aspirational. That's not how to change and become a new person and evolve and rise up and live the best life that you can. So then what happened is all their hopes and dreams die along with them. They're buried forever. Why would you want to live your life like that? Most people live life exactly like that. And as Bob Proctor says, most people tiptoe through life hoping to make it safely to death. Like, do you want to do that? I sure as hell don't. I was doing that a number of years ago and figured out how to make change. It took me almost a decade to make that change, though. So what I'm hoping to do is help people who want to learn how to do that in much less time than it took me, because I've figured out all the steps that you have to do. Right now, if you have watched any of my videos or been a part of any of my social media or whatever, you know that I love this saying, success loves speed. The problem is that some people misinterpret it or take it out of context, and they think that means hustle and grind. You got to work hard. You got to do everything every day, blah, 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 blah. Get that task list going and accomplish, bigger, better, faster kind of stuff. And that's a ready, fire, aim kind of methodology. I used to be like that, but it burns you out. It doesn't make you the most creative person. It certainly doesn't allow you to have happiness in every single moment that you're living. And so what I like to teach now is that that's fine. Success does love speed, but sometimes you have to go slow in order to go fast. It's kind of like, if you're racing a Formula One race car around a track, you don't always have the pedal to the metal. You got to know how to tap the brakes, move slow, come into a corner, gear down, and then get out onto the straight stretch so that you can open it up. Well, the same thing happens with your brain. The same thing happens with your unconscious. The same thing happens with the habits and systems that you have in place to live your life every day. You have to learn how to do those things so that you can maneuver and not crash. So in order to go fast, you must first learn your true passion and purpose. The problem is that most programs are very vague in how to do that. And I use a method called the Perfect Day Soul Print exercise to naturally discover it. It's about a 45-minute training session along with a worksheet that you fill out to work on this. It's not something that you just do, even though it's only a 45-minute training program. It's not something you do in one day. It's something that you'll learn what I talk about. You'll check out the worksheet, and then you're going to spend some time self-actualizing. Maybe you go for a hike, do something that you enjoy, get out into nature so that you can start to feel it. It's not something you think through, it's something you feel. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. If you stay till the end, this is the download that I'm going to give you as a link for the Perfect Day Soul Print bonus. You're going to get that for free. Because it's a 45-minute training session plus some work you have to do, it's too much for me to be able to teach you today, but you can do that on your own, self-help. All right, so this success loves speed. Once you've got your soul print, then you can go fast. So what I want you to experience, just look at the joy in her face. I want you to experience what she is experiencing right here.
It began with a daring design, with attention to every detail.
Sorry about the commercial, huh?
The only missing piece.
Supposed to go shooting.
All right, here we go.
Well, that person move.
You think we should do it?
Okay. You
Close your eyes for a bit and feel what
I'm
she's
scared.
feeling
Oh,
when she does this.
Okay. Stay down.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Now break.
Oh! Oh my god! I gotta do it again. I got it. Look at me. I'm like, I gotta do it again.
Right? So isn't that just like, doesn't that, you just feel the joy in that moment. You know she's having a great time. She let her rip and she didn't crash. And that's what you're going to find you're going to be able to do when you get to your soul print, which is the foundational pillar of being able to make change happen in your life. Create an environment that is fulfilling for you to make this change and become this new person so that you can accomplish your goals. I'm going to show you a 3-step method on how to do that. All right, so instead of goals, what you're going to do, that's what most people default to. They try to set goals. And the goals come with a task list. That task list is boring. It will not inspire you. It will not allow you to tap into your curiosity like a kid, because that's how most people do it. And that's why 8 out of 10 people statistically fail at doing it. So instead of goals, you learn how to become something new by emulating the characteristics of someone you admire who's already doing it, right? So for me, when I started doing this, I really respect and appreciate the values and the abilities and just everything about Richard Branson. So he was my guy. And so I started doing things like he would do. You know, I started leveraging people who worked in my business just like he does. He, in case you don't know, he had learning disabilities as a kid, had a lot of trouble in school, and he was dyslexic and probably had comorbid disabilities as well, ADHD and whatnot. I was also ADHD as a kid. I couldn't focus when it came to just sitting down and reading and learning and writing and doing all that kind of stuff, until I had a teacher. By the time I was in grade 6, I had a teacher who helped me, and in that 1 year, I made a turnaround. Instead of being at the bottom of the class, I got an award for top student. Won some books. I read the most books of any student, and even up to, this was in elementary school, so up to grade 8, I read the most books of anyone in that school that year. It was something like 85 books or something. It was crazy. But yeah, to become something new by emulating those characteristics. So it's kind of like actors do when they're trying to get into a role, right? They're trying to get into a new role. They start emulating the characteristics of the person they're trying to act like, right? So that's called method acting. That's what you're going to do. And by becoming that new person, that's a much easier way. So like, for instance, right now I'm in a keto intermittent fasting program, and I'm doing some new exercises so I can train. My goal is, I do the mountain biking racing, and my goal is I do this 24-hour race every year, but it's a relay race. And next year I'm training to do it solo. So 24 hours, I'm going to ride the whole thing solo. And so in order to do that, I have to become a new person. I have some new thinking, some new models to be able to attain. And so I'm doing some programs where I have some mentors and some coaches helping me to become this new person. And part of that is I say every day I'm the type of person who puts high energy, whether it's food or exercise or, going for a snowshoe or whatever it is. I'm putting high energy into my body so that I can feel it. That's not just about physical kind of stuff. That's about the mental stuff, because that's what, in order to do a 24-hour race, it's 80% mental. So that's what I'm learning to become in doing that. So decide the type of person you want to become and prove it to yourself with small daily wins. So that's that 1% factor, and I'll show you how to do that. So in order to do this, if you look at this, there's 3 methods to change behavior to accomplish goals. The most obvious one, which everyone goes to, is this outside circle here where it says outcome and goals. So you say, the outcome that I want is I want to lose 30 pounds. So my goal is, which is a task list, is, I'm going to do this workout, and I got, 12 things that I'm going to do. So I'm going to do a workout for an hour and a half every day. Well, the problem is that the first day you don't feel like doing it. Guess what? You're not going to do it. You're going to go back and hit the bag of chips and the chocolate cake. Okay, so the second level of doing this is to create some habits and systems and routines. So as you start to create a habit system, that's a better way of doing it, because all you have to do is start with a starter habit, and that gets you going. And then as you get a starter habit, you start doing domino habits where you connect one to the other and it becomes a chain link. I'm going to show you how to do that in the coaching program. And you establish these things, and before you know it, they become this level called automaticity. The London School University proved this, that in 66 days, you can take any habit and make it automatic. So level of automaticity. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. The best way, however, if you want to make changes that stick, so you don't end up in that 8 out of 10 people that fail, is to think about it in terms of your identity. Who is the person you want to become? And then you start acting like that. So the route this takes is be, do, have, right? Have is the outcome, the goal that you want, but you don't think about that at the time. Otherwise, you're going to drop the ball. It's like, when in football, if you're constantly focused on getting the touchdown, you're probably going to drop the ball. It's not going to work out for you. What you need to be focused on is the play right now. What is the play to try and make first down? That's the first step. So evolving this to be able to change your identity is the number one key thing to making change stick. All right, so it's more important to start than it is to succeed. People have trouble just getting going. So just doing that little 1% thing every day and doing one little habit, that's all you got to do. Just one little thing. All right, the secret of getting ahead is just getting started, as Mark Twain said. So what we are what we repeatedly do. And excellence then is not an act, but a habit. That was Aristotle. Daily habits and routines trigger your inner muse. That's something I learned from Robin Sharma, famous coach in achievement programs. I helped him do a launch called the Extreme Achievement Formula a couple of years back, and we did $1.8 million on that launch. So great things that I learned from them. So a daily habit or routine, small daily incremental actions, and the gains are what you get to done. Repeated over several days equals success. And as Bruce Lee said, knowing is not enough. We must be applying. We must be willing is not enough. We must do. So just focus on just be, do, have. That's the order. Tiny little changes can make big differences. This was in the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you haven't read it, definitely read it. It's a wonderful book, because this is where I get a lot of the information in terms of how to get you into good systems and routines to build those habits. So if you can just do 1% better each day, you're going to be 37 times better by the end of the year. But if you do 1% worse each day, meaning you're chasing the shiny objects, or you're in denial and you go do something that feels good, that you get instantaneous gratification right away, like eating the bag of chips makes you feel good, but then afterwards you feel like crap. Well, that's 1% worse every day. And then, so what you're going to find is doing that every day for a year declines you nearly to zero. And here is the math that shows you that 1% worse every day. That's one year, over 1 year. So you take 0.99, which is 1% worse every day. 0.99 to the power of 365 puts you 0.03, right? Whereas 1% better each day for a year is 1.01 to the power of 365, which is 37.78 times better. See, so if you're 1% worse every day, hitting that bag of chips or whatever, the analogy is in the business world, chasing shiny objects like Clubhouse, unless you're using Clubhouse for true business purposes and not just hanging out, listening, and really doing nothing, you're just wasting your time, then you're going to be almost zero by the end of the year. So that means that if you decide at the end to join us in our coaching program, which lasts for 90 days, you will be almost 10 times better in 1 quarter, right? If you just focus on the things that I'm going to teach. So this simple joy formula that I'm talking about, to have joy in the moment, is to have joy in the moment. So you have to pick and choose the things that you do. You have to filter out the things that aren't working for you, or that you're not good at, or that you don't want to do. So take that task list, and you can either get rid of it, which in most cases you can, or if it's something that does need to be done, you can outsource it very simply and very inexpensively, which I show people in the, I show my students in the course how to do it inexpensively, so that you can only focus on the things that bring you joy. And then that way you are feeling good in every single moment of the day, and it makes you want to jump out of bed. It makes you want to do this stuff, right? And when you can tap into the joy first formula, joy first, joy in the moment, then that inspires creativity, and that gives you the curious like a kid. When you're curious like a kid, you're more creative. All the ideas start to just flow, and when that happens, you'll have deep growth, and then you do it all over again, and it just keeps on going and going. All right, so this Soulprint Goal Accountability program that I'm talking about, this is the flight plan for what we do in the program. All right, so I'm going to show you this, and then you can decide to take this or not. And then at the end, I'll give you a link. You can get the free download for the Soulprint Perfect Day. And if you just wanted to have that free stuff, you can go do that and work on your Soulprint, and maybe come back after and join us in the Soulprint Accountability Program, which is going to take it to the next level. Or you can join the program and do both. The Soulprint stuff only takes a couple of days to anchor the foundational stuff, and then I teach how to accelerate that, so that in 90 days, you're going to have an outcome that you want without having the big long task lists that bring you despair and make you feel crappy every day, and make you not push through the valley of despair, and make you go back to your comfort bubble. All right. So in this program, there are seven different phases. And in the step 1 foundations, we talk about more in terms of this traditional goal setting that doesn't work. SMART goals. Really, they're not very smart. And I'm going to teach you the number 1 method that's used by people like Richard Branson, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. You name the person that you really appreciate and respect and like. And I'm going to show you the method that these kind of people use to hit their goals. And it's the method that all of us are using in the group. As a matter of fact, we do a check-in every day that's like a green light, yellow light, red light. Are you feeling comfortable? Are you progressing? Are you feeling joy in the moment? And are you doing your 1% each day, or are you tripping up and having trouble? And we help each other be able to move that through. In step 2 down here, we give you the simple tools to ensure that you're staying motivated and avoid the P word, procrastination. Okay, so that's the motivation accelerator. The RPM red line method. And I'm going to prove to you that it is exhilarating, just like that girl we saw in the car doing the launch. And you're going to feel good with the this method that I use for goal setting, called the red line method. All right, and then how to overcome the entrepreneurial achiever syndrome. That's what puts you into that death mode of feeling like crap. And then I'm going to give you a few apps that we're using, really simple stuff. It's not going to be big project management tools that you make all kinds of lists and just boring. It's going to be some simple apps that we use to be able to track and leverage us moving into the momentum and achieving that 1% each day. All right, and then up here in the Step 3 is the Goal Accelerator Framework. It's a very simple 5-step framework. Actually, it's 6-step framework now to ensure that you stay motivated, stick to your plan, develop amazing habits with long-lasting euphoric feelings, and avoid the valley of despair felt by entrepreneurs in the middle of a project. That 8 out of 10. We're going to make sure that you don't become the statistic. We don't want you becoming the 8 out of 10 that fail and go back to their comfort bubble. All right. Down here in step 4, group flow. We're going to teach you a method to leverage the power of the group flow, and to expand algorithmically. So you're going to take what you're already doing in your own system, and through group flow, we're going to teach you how to take that and accelerate it, right? Algorithmically. So 2 plus 2 is going to equal 8. All right, and then here in phase 5, or step 5, is the goal setting for winners. Goal setting is not a task. Less is more. And I'm going to show you what Al Pacino can teach us about how to do that. And the new paradigm soul print goal achievement workbook. Right? So there's going to be a level up portion. So you're going to get the free foundational perfect day soul print. And then when I teach you in phase 5 here about goal setting, I'm going to show you how to level it up. All right. So it's going to accelerate it even more, and you're going to create a flywheel effect that allows you to build momentum off of that. And then up here in phase 6, how to increase your productivity output, is there's going to be a non-task list method for increasing your productivity, and 5 non-negotiables that aren't about goal setting at all that are going to help you do it. Right? And then down here in step 7 is the come to Jesus moment, where we're going to bring it all together and you're going to create your very own customized achievement system. And it has nothing to do with the project managers and taskmasters telling you what to do. You're going to have your very own system, so that after the program is over, after the 90 days is over, you're going to be able to take this and repeat it and keep doing it and just experience bliss. Basically, you're going to live out your perfect day soul print every single day after this program is over. All right. So if you want to get this, go to perfectdaysoulprint.com/goal accelerator. And when you do that, you're going to see this page. Hang on a second, I'll bring it up. Where is it here? You're going to see this page right here, right? Soul Print Goal Accelerator Program. Get more done this quarter than most business owners will all year, and make the impossible possible, right? So this program consists of 90 days of the accelerated goal accountability training, just like I showed, plus one-on-one accountability calls twice per month. Just me and you are going to meet. It's just a quick meeting. We're going to make sure that everything's cool. Plus, if you do an upgrade, it's a monthly fee to do the upgrade to join us in our group coaching calls. Very, very inexpensive way to do this. I'll show you in a second. You're going to get inspired to create something amazing for yourself, and you're going to be using all the coaching frameworks that I've assembled over the last decade through working on very large product launches of my own, as well as working with amazing clients like award-winning New York Times bestselling author 14 times over, Robin Sharma. I worked with him on his Extreme Achievement formula and Your Productivity Unleashed program. I've also worked with Brian P. Moran on the 12-week year launch, and Todd on the 90-day year programs. These are all things that talk about achievement programs, and I've taken the best items out of each of those and developed my own process around this that isn't about just, managing all kinds of workflows and the task lists and all kinds of stuff that's just boring, right? So the 3 key facets are a technique called the Perfect Day Soul Print to tap into your passion, purpose, and generate flow, and a critical system that you'll use daily to beat your procrastination, build on your goal achievement, and it's going to compound daily. And then the crucial distinction between the typical passion and purpose type programs versus the Perfect Day Soul Print that will launch you into this perpetual flywheel momentum that you can carry on long after this program is over. And plus, you're going to get the special bonus if you choose to join before the 24-hour clock is up. This will be a 24-hour clock on your link when you go to it. If you order within 24 hours, you're going to get free access to this $1,500 program that people spent just 8 months ago. And it's called the Concierge Coaching Program for Marketing and Advertising Your Business, so that when you're all done this and you're ready to accelerate and go faster, you'll have a program in place to be able to advertise and market it as well. All right. So I'm going to charge $497 for this after this initial program is over, but for a short time right now, you can get it for just $197. Just plug your billing details in here. This is a secure encrypted site, so you don't have to worry about that. And I give a refund policy. You can get in and see all the programs. It's all recorded in a member portal. You can join us for one coaching call. And if you don't like what you see, you've got 7 days to have a full refund. And by the way, you don't even have to ask me about that. Once you're logged into the portal, it's automatic self-refund. You can just click a button, refund comes through automatically. All right, so that's $197 for that. And then if you join my Bolder Future Entrepreneurs Club, which is the monthly group coaching calls, we do 2 of them every month. They last for about an hour, sometimes a bit longer depending on questions. We do hot seats, so we put somebody, it's not really a hot seat, but somebody comes in to review what they're actually doing, and I give advice and guidance on how to improve upon that or how to change it. We also do Q&A, and sometimes we just get together and shoot the shit and help pump each other up. And that's the goal of being a part of a group with great like-minded entrepreneurs trying to do the same thing, changing our behaviors, becoming something new. Sometimes you need the support of the group. So if you want to do that, just click this little radio button here and you'll be upgraded for $29 a month for those calls. And you can cancel that at any time as well. All right, so if you want to do it and get the 2 calls and then decide afterwards that you don't want to do it anymore, cancel it at any time. All right, so just agree to the billing terms, which is that you'd be billed $29 per month until such time that you cancel. All right, and that's about it. If you want to see any of my past students and clients, I've got a number of videos from them talking about the initiatives that they did. This is Todd Brown. I've done probably a dozen different launches with him that went anywhere from $50,000 on up to $1 million. And I worked with him as a marketing and advertising consultant and helped him scale up his business. He talks about it in there. Victoria Griggs, there's all kinds of people that are in here. And if you still have some questions, direct message me or send me an email to customerservice@bolderfuture.com. And I guarantee I get back to every single question that you have. All right. Once you pay for this, you'll automatically be emailed your login for the member portal. This is the member portal. So you'll come in here. There's a little welcome video that I talk about what to do. If you haven't already upgraded to the Entrepreneurs Club, you can click the button and join for $29 a month. And you can join the Facebook group where that's where we have our daily kind of check-in. And below here is actually the Joyful Entrepreneurs Perfect Day Soul Print training. You can see it right here, as well as the download for the workbook. If you choose not to buy into the coaching program, you can still get these 2 things right here for free, and I'll give you the link in a moment. And then once you've done that, if you're in the coaching program, then you've established your goals, you've got your foundational stuff done with your soul print. Then I want you to schedule your one-on-one call with me right here. When you click on that button, you come automatically here to my calendar and you can book it. And we will review your goal plans. We'll review your marketing if that's what you want to do. If you've got that in place, we're going to review everything about it to make sure that you're on the right track and that you are starting off on your journey with the right foot forward. All right. And also, of course, if you have made this purchase within 24 hours, you're going to get access to the Concierge Coaching Workshop, which is my marketing and advertising. And in here, I have 6 pillars to this. The first is unpacking your IP, your intellectual property, right? How do you get what's up here and put it into a concept that people can understand and quickly pick up on, and you're going to teach them your intellectual property. Then I'm going to teach you how to create a unique, compelling offer that you're going to make them that makes them want to buy it and upgrade and invest with you. And then we're going to get into the accelerated selling and marketing mode, where I'm going to teach you how to actually run ads and write copy for the stuff that you're putting out there for your big idea. And then how to develop a demand generation cycle that keeps bringing leads, not just soft leads, but really warm leads that want to purchase with you and move forward. And then how to set up all your ads for that. You're going to get that for free. That's a $1,500 program that you'll get for free if you make your purchase within 24 hours. All right, and then over here under this tab is your Soulprint Goal Accelerator training. All right, the first session is already in there, and some of these I do live, some of them I pre-record. The first one was live, and then here's your homework and your dashboard and all of that kind of stuff, all right there. So get over there to perfectdaysoulprint.com/goal accelerator and get yourself in there, and let's start you on a path to living your perfect day soul print right now. All right, guys, so that's all I have for today. Oh, one other thing. So if you decide you just want to check out the Perfect Day Soul Print workbook and training, you can get that for free at perfectdaysoulprint.com/free right now. Just go there, perfectdaysoulprint.com/free, and you can get that first level training. And once you've done the foundational work, if you decide you want to come back, you can. You just won't be able to get the concierge program for marketing and advertising for free anymore. That expires in 24 hours. All right, guys, so peace. I hope you live a very joyful tomorrow and every day thereafter. All right, success, love, speed. But first, make sure you're grounded in your soul print. Bye for now.